Welcome back, and today we have B-Way Grosses, and today we have some amazing news to report, as this week was a fantastic week for most musicals, so let's get into it. And Juliet went from 99.54 to 98.34, and 1,206,929 to 1,192,913, doing another amazing week of business. A Beautiful Noise had a small improvement from 657k to 701k, going from 55% to 61%. Again, I suspect this will close by the end of the year, and I now know that there's a new schedule that they're playing at for the fall, and they're trying to attract a new audience, so it might not close in September, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. But just so you know, its days are numbered. Back to the Future performed to 98% capacity compared to last week's 99%, with 1,470,612. Ladies and gentlemen, that number is astronomical compared to last week's 1,135,892. Again, these are blockbuster numbers, and you already know this is the next blockbuster musical in terms of box office success. And I think it's going to have a very healthy and lucrative run on Broadway. Funny Girl went from 93% to 95%, and 1,672,811 to 1,828,701, and that is closing soon, so it's ending on a high note. Hadestown went from 100.12 to 100.44, and 728,293 to 772,904, which is a very good sign of improvement for Hadestown. I'm glad that it's going back into the higher 700s. Now hopefully it can go into the 8s and 9s and stay there consistently, but again, the jury is still out on whether or not this closes at the end of this year or in 2024, which again, I think it will close next year. Also, just to preface, I think a lot of people are seeing Back to the Future, not because it's a good musical, but because of the special effects and the flying car. But that's just me. I will never see it. Hamilton went from 101.42 to 101.16, and 1,873,209 to 1,922,324. Here Lies Love went from 99.9 to 98.47, and 913,782 to 914,855. So obviously it wasn't a huge increase, but again, it is in the 900k range, which is where Here Lies Love needs to be. And hopefully Lea Salong, before she leaves, can bring the production to at least a week or two of $1 million. And again, I'm still very concerned with how this will do. Could I see it surviving until the Tonys? 100% I can, but it's such an expensive show to run that, again, it can't sustain poor numbers for too long. And by poor numbers, I mean 700k, 800k, which would be considered amazing for something like Akimbo, but for something like Here Lies Love, that's considered quite poor. So again, it's kind of a hit or miss. Moulin Rouge went from 99.96 to 98.26, and 1,341,528 to 1,158,210. A pretty significant drop, but nonetheless a good week. Once Upon a One More Time went from 56% to 52%, and 579k to 514k, doing terrible like always. Closing announcement coming soon, probably. Parade went from 102.59 to 102.66. For 9 performances, going from 1,527,937 to 1,814,000 at the box office, and it ended this week, so in a fantastic run for a show that overperformed on every level, and I'm so glad that it ended on such a strong note. Shocked had a slightly better week, going from 86.89 to 89.6, and 725k to 748k. Again, I think this will close in January, and again, 748k is decent for Shocked, but they probably want to see 8s and 9s versus 7s and 6s, so I think it's more underperforming than doing well, because they lost a lot of money during previews, and they're probably expecting 900k and $1 million throughout the summer. 6 went from 961k to 944k, and 95.99 to 95.50. Some Like It Hot went from 803k to 889k, and 72% to 76%, which again is an improvement. I think it will stick through Labor Day, but I think it will close in January, even though it is doing the best out of all the new shows. Kimberly Akimbo went from 90% to 91%, and 695K to 656K, which is again not a great sign. It's doing worse than a strange loop did, and sadly I predicted January closing, which I hate, because I think Kimberly Akimbo should run as long as Wicked, as long as The Lion King, should have the audience of those shows, but it's not meant to be. And again, it's failing, but it's not enough to sustain it for years. And Sweeney Todd went from 1,774,883 to 1,765,436, and 99.82 to 97.92, which is another great week. So overall, a pretty awesome week for most Broadway shows, with some things closing, and a lot of things staying the same, i.e. Once Upon One More Time. Those are my thoughts on the box office for this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you next week for another round of B-Way Grosses. Peace.